Hi everyone. So because I used up the entire video just showing you the grid system yesterday, I'm going to take a leaf out of Blue Peter's book. So here's one I made earlier. This is the measuring technique. Now this is a beautiful portrait of the Queen, and as you can see, I've marked out key dots to show the measurements, and I've measured the distance between these dots. So from pupil to pupil, from pupil to eyebrow, the end of the eye to the iris to the pupil, and everywhere else. And I've just done this little map here, and everything adds up. I've actually forgotten to put the forehead one on, so it's 14.5. Should be around here. That looks about right. So now we have a map of her face. All we have to do is join the dots, which I have sort of begun to do anyway, as you can see, quite lightly with pencil. Although, again, if you're doing this technique, I've only done it in darker pencil for the sake of the video, but if you're really using this technique, I'd use much lighter pencil, because again, you're going to have to rub out all the nice work you've done. This is the hairline, not the forehead. And again, where her hair stops, we're going to ignore the crown for now. But from the bottom of the chin to where her hair stops, which is just behind the crown here, it's just under 20. And from the side of the head to the hair, say 3.5. I was tempted, as I am, to finish this drawing. I'm not going to today, because otherwise we'll have another entire video dedicated to one technique. So there we are. There are the proportions of the Queen. Next technique I'm going to show you is a light box. So this is just a A3 light box that plugs into your computer. You just turn it on. And this is most useful, I would say, if you want to trace some like a font or something for a card. It's not that great if you want to let's take Alex eating his cereal again. If you wanted to, actually, that's all right. Yeah, so I guess you could get the outlines from that, but it's most clear for something like that. You have to be careful not to move your paper too much, but it's good for, say for example, I wanted to create some sort of beautiful floral design around this lettering. It's like a birthday card or child's name. Let's see what that looks like. Oh. Maybe we're gonna have to actually draw the lettering as well. There we are. Okay, so I've created my own home easel, which is basically a drawing board with A1 paper taped to it, balanced precariously on an armchair. This is my projector, which plugs into the computer and basically just projects exactly what's on the screen. So there I've got my image of the Queen that I did earlier, and just wait for it to turn on. I've had this for about 6 years, so I'm sure that there is a more modern version available. Right, so as you can see, very faintly, the image is projected onto the paper. Now I'm going to have to position my projector in a place where it won't move because, you know, this is no good. And you've got to be really careful not to have it at an angle, because otherwise you'll get, the drawing will be just distorted. So I've made my own tripod by putting it in between these heavy objects and on top of all these books to hold it in place. You can tell I don't really do this often. And there is the image. Now you've got to be really careful not to walk in front of it, otherwise you won't be able to see. Right, so as you can see, this definitely works better when it's not beautiful weather outside or it's not daytime, but at least it's a very clear outline that we're working with. It's plugged into my computer, and when my computer goes to sleep, the whole thing turns off. So again, I'm sure that there are some more high-tech projectors out there than the one I have. But it does do the job. I'm trying not to get in the way of the light, which makes it quite challenging to draw from this angle. I've also moved it down onto the floor because my homemade tripod system wasn't working out. Oh, see, that's what happens. Using a projector is useful for blowing up an image to larger proportions. This is where the grid system would come in. Very useful. Blowing up a drawing. Right. It's important to have a bit of light when you're projecting because you can forget what you've drawn and what you haven't drawn. Here we are. Now, even though it's very rough, it's definitely a starting point. Starting point is what we're after.